The month of January. The month of January has always been a very difficult month for me. And I'm reflecting on it today because it's not so difficult anymore. It's just not. Even looking back on the reason why it was difficult, I can honestly say I believe that it's not so painful to even look back on the events that have taken place in January for me. And one was my mother passed in the month of January. Her services were in the month of January, and I feel like her repast was just ruined. There was a family disturbance, almost like a fight. Police were called at my mother's repast, and it hurt me so because I felt like, this is a funeral. This is my mother, and it shouldn't have never happened. And when it happened, I ended up apologizing to all of the people who had attended her repast. And, looking back, I should have just not said anything. But because of who I am and how I am, I don't like embarrassment. And, I didn't feel like what took place at my mother's repast, it shouldn't have never taken place. And then another family member passed, which would have been my aunt. The night that she passed, I came back and forth to help take care of her, to help family take care of her. And the night that she passed, my cousin and I she ended up getting into it with me, and she ended up putting me out of the home, asking me to leave, going crazy on me. And so, I always wrestle with that. And I always forgave it because I had no self-awareness. I had no self-esteem, and I had never even thought about any type of self-worth. This is way before my healing ever even began. And so the month of January has always and was always back in the past a difficult month of heaviness, reliving these events over and year after year, and trying to get along with my family members that caused these events. It would take many years and time with myself for me to come into some real deeper understandings as to why, and why I never spoke up about it. I never spoke up about it because I come from a very emotionally immature environment. So if you say anything to anybody, you're going to get cursed out on spot. And if you're not getting cursed out, you may even get killed. I have had a family member pull a gun, their significant other's pistol, on my son. So I come from a very dangerous environment. And these people, they look like they wouldn't hurt a fly, but it was something about me and mine that nobody mind hurting or smearing or talking down to. And because I carried the spirit of a coward, the spirit of people pleasing, the spirit of wanting to get along, the spirit of the scapegoat, it cost me. It cost me a lot of time. But I thank God and the Most High Mother, Father, my ancestors, for giving me the mind to reflect. And to know that it was okay to let all of those events go because they weren't on me. They weren't my fault. You know, I felt guilty because I had invited a family member to my mother's funeral, which would have made that family member her granddaughter. And so, you know, it's always been like this control thing, you know, in my family. There's heavy abuse. There are still people back there suffering, afraid to speak up. I have seen people's whole inheritances stolen. And they know, and people know that their inheritance has been stolen. But because of this spell, this fear spell, nobody speaks up. Nobody says anything. And people pretend very well. Very well. There are several people in my family who are trapped under this big rock of fear. Fear to speak up, fear to speak out about any of the injustices that have taken place in their life. And there are family members that watch my videos. There are phone calls that get made about me. There's a lot of witchcraft. There's a lot of spell work. There's just, you name it. Because these people are just that low. And they love the chaos. They love it. But I want to come also today with a warning. This is not the time to continue in wickedness. This is a time for self-reflection. This may be the last chance people get to make a real significant change, to find some courage, to speak up for themselves, to stop the trauma, to stop the abuse. I know for a fact that my sexual abuse as a child, the person that sexually abused me is still allowed to go around other relatives, smile with them, have dinner parties with them. But for me, I'm never invited. I'm never welcomed. I've never been welcomed in my family. And I understand now. I understand that I never was supposed to be. But today, I'm speaking out about it. And I'm praying that other children don't have to endure that. Other young people in my family don't have to endure that. There are so many young people in my family who are addicted to drugs. They are afraid to speak out and afraid to speak up because of the verbal abuse that runs so rampant in this family. I mean, just you name it, you're going to get it. You're going to get cursed out. And you know, when you come up as a child and this has been your environment, I understand it's hard to break free. It's hard to break free once people keep pounding into you that you're nothing, your mother's nothing, your father's nothing, and therefore we gonna treat you like you're nothing. I want to ask y'all today to help. Let's break these cycles. You have worth, you have value. This is why they do these things to you. And they don't expect you to look into their lives. See, I was able to forgive because I could always tell why people did the things that they did. You know, maybe their mother was an alcoholic. Maybe their father was a drug addict. Maybe they were abused as a child, but they grew up with a skewed sense of reality. They lost their empathy along the way. They lost their compassion for others along the way. They could not withstand the abuse. They didn't make it. So now they have turned into abusers. And just because you're not physically, putting your hands on somebody, verbal abuse is damaging as well, if not more so. So I'm just saying, you know, it feels good to recognize your growth, to understand what you came from, and where you are now, and how God He really brought you through it. Because those people meant to destroy you. They meant for you to stay down. You were never to rise up. Never. And, they've smeared you. Everybody thinks that there's something wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. It's your environment. And the best thing that you can do for yourself is to walk away with grace. With grace. And understand that, all of these things happened to me. You tried to really, really break me. You were an instrument, a tool of Satan. But God gets the victory. He gets the victory. Because you are still here. You are alive. You are breathing. You have the spark of life still running through your body. I want to interject and put in a little something here too. When I was a kid, I was kidnapped. Taken. They called it back then snatched. So, when I look back, I'll be like, dang. And there's been several other things that happened. And when I look back, I'm like, oh my God, I have got to speak on this. I see videos of people homeless and on the street. And then I hear their reasons. Well, I used to get raped when I was a kid and my mama never said anything. Nobody ever, showed me love. They all said I was crazy. And I'm like, God, you spared me. You kept me. And that's why I'm going to tell my story. And if you are being abused, if people are talking down to you, get away from them. Stop allowing people to break you. Stop self-sacrificing you. You didn't come here for that. That's not your mission. And the people that are doing these things to you, they're projecting. Because deep down inside, that's how they feel about themselves. They feel just that low. And a lot of them came out of abusive homes. Overbearing fathers, alcoholic mothers who are so detached. And then some of them, they pick up these very behaviors and the cycles, they just continue. So if you are a cycle breaker today, I want to tell you congratulations. Keep going.